Hey guys, today I want to talk about Malthael, and particularly why the pros play Malthael. To start off, I want to explain a few things. People, when they're playing Malthael, usually everyone wants to pick Malthael after they pick a double tank comp or triple tank or just a lot of healthy units, and while yes, you're not wrong. That's a great time to pick Malthael. But there are so many other times to pick Malthael, and the pros like to pick him so much because there are so many options to pick him. So to start off, one of the reasons why he's picked is yes, against double tank comps. But ultimately, there's one major reason why he's picked so much in pro play and why we see Malthael so often. And that is because he is a solo lane bully. He wins most solo lanes, and if not, he breaks even. And if he breaks even, he can do camps usually faster than the person that he's breaking even with. Meaning, he'll be able to clear a camp or clear a wave, go get a camp, come back, and be in lane without missing any minions. It is crazy. He has so much self-healing that he can deal with even the bigger camps, the ones that a lot of heroes can't deal with, or don't quite have the damage to deal with in a reasonable amount of time. As he melts percent health and heals himself so much, he can down these camps very, very easily. With On a Pale Horse, it allows him to double soak lanes even on the longer and wider maps that might be more difficult from some other people to double soak, someone like Zul. Malthael just fills so many different niches and he works on so many different maps that he's become a high priority in pro play, and personally I think Malthael should be a high priority for people to play because he's not too hard to learn, as well as he fits in so many different maps and so many different team comps. I think Malthael would be a perfect hero for you to play while moving up in ranks. Not just that, but the pro build for him is very similar to the build I would recommend playing in Hero League. So this video shouldn't just help you learn why the pros are playing Malthael, but it should also help you understand what you should be doing with Malthael and how to carry in Hero League. Starting with that, let's go into the build. Level 1, it's almost always on the Pale Horse, allows you to double soak lanes, allows you to get a camp in one area and then join your team in another area. Fear the Reaper is picked in a very rare set of scenarios. It's pretty much if the enemies are going to be constantly ganking you, this gives you an out. It gives you an escape that Malthael lacks. That is one of Malthael's biggest weaknesses. In fact, one of his only weaknesses is the fact that he will die to people ganking him. He just doesn't have any escapes. Level 4, it's always die alone because he's always picked as a solo laner versus someone else. So he gets to do that 50% more damage to him and really just melts him. This is his large power spike. This is how he can bully people. Level 7, he gets Soul Rip slows enemies by 20% for 2.5 seconds. It is an amazing talent, but Level 7 is a very competitive tier for Malthael as he has other options. Massacre makes it to where he can get Reaper's marks out on more people and more damage from his Wraith Strike, as it now will do AoE damage to everyone around the target you're hitting. This allows you to jump into team fights and get a lot of burst damage off very quickly, as well as keep your mark off on as many people as possible. Then the other option that you can get at level 7 is Touch of Death, which you activate it to reduce healing received by heroes affected by Reaper's Mark by 50% for 4 seconds. This is good against healers who have predictable healing, or against healers like Lily who are going to be activating cups if you don't have a lot of interrupts for cups, mitigating the healing of cups by 50%. This also allows you to counter double support compositions, as you can mitigate their healing and you can get a lot of burst damage off while they are getting lowered healing. Level 10, it's almost always last rites, unless there's a couple exceptions where they have things that will mitigate last rites. Things like Medivh Shield, or maybe the Bunker, or just any other invulnerabilities or things that they can give to allies. Then sometimes you'll go Tormented Souls, especially if they're heavy melee. If they're not heavy melee, sometimes last rites is still picked up just because of how little value Tormented Souls can actually get. Level 13, Inevitable End is usually picked up, gives you Unstoppable, removes all your marks, but it's got such a low cooldown that you usually use it at the right time, and you can get out of CCs really easily, saves yourself from someone who's being a little bit of a bully like an Arthas. If they all go spell damage, you go spell armor. If they all go physical damage, you go physical armor. It's pretty easy, makes sense. It is a decently competitive talent tier, so feel free to pick things other than these if you will, or other than Inevitable End if you feel like you need to in Hero League. Level 16, Soul Collector's almost always picked up. Lowers the cooldown of your Soul Rip, as well as increasing the range of it, which makes it to where it synergizes really well with your slow. Also synergizes really well with the Die Alone, and it gets a lot of value from that. Level 20 in Pro Play. No One Can Stop Death is picked, and the reason why in Pro Play is because after level 20, usually, if you die more than twice after level 20, because the length of the respawn times, they're usually 65 seconds after level 20, you've probably already lost the game. So being able to activate it after your first death to rejoin the fight is really, really nice, and it synergizes well with On a Pale Horse. So you could play really aggressive at level 20, take a death for the team, have your team win a team fight, and you can revive and get back to your team very quickly with On a Pale Horse. That is the build for Malthael, as well as the reasons why the pros are picking him. Now, let's get into a game where it is Team Freedom versus, I believe, Heroes Hearth Esports. So I will get over Malthael really quick, who's being played by Nasmus. And we're going to fast forward a little bit, as the beginning of pro games is a little boring. It's usually them just playing really safe. And you can see immediately he's bullying the other person out of lane. McIntyre's playing Blaze, and you can see how aggressive he's already playing against Blaze. He realizes that he can bully him this much, so what he does is he calls out to his team and he says, hey, you know what, I can push him to the tower, let's take the tower. So what happens is they start moving forward, and he goes back into lane to start bullying Blaze, try to get Blaze out of lane, and you can see a lot of people pinging to get help after he got the vision, so they can go up and see if they can get a tower early. This is a thing that Team Freedom does pretty commonly, where they try to get a lot of value from something early by abusing weird rotations by their heroes. So you can see they're getting the tower down to about 20%, and I would say about 40%. And then Malthael quickly just grabs the fountain. He gains a little bit of life mid, as well as pushes it. And then you can see this is how cool he is. Watch. So Malthael, he gains all of his life back, or a good chunk of his life anyways. He's still at full mana. He's pretty much bullying Blaze out. And once Blaze uses his abilities, he knows it's going to take Blaze a while to clear this. So he goes down and he starts working on the camp. And look at this. Not even level 4. Malthael is taking a bruiser camp. Not even at level 4. Not even 2 minutes into the game. He's soloing a bruiser camp. He's gaining the life back from it, so he's not really dying from this bruiser camp. And he can always heal himself once he gets back into lane. All he has to do is hit a couple minions and press Q on him. It's pretty easy. So now he's getting back into lane. He only misses 2 minions before he gets there and gets experience for all the rest. And those 2 minions will be made up for if this camp takes this tower, which is going to be probably his priority. Overall, he's playing this so well, and he got his power spike. You can see now when he uses his Q onto McIntyre, it's going to be doing crit damage. Look at that crit damage, 175 damage every time he lands a Q. So now he can walk up to this, and he can melt down this tower. And even though HHE is ahead in experience, look at that. Right as the tower goes down, he immediately takes the experience lead. This has all been pretty much set up for by him, by Nasmus. Just his playstyle alone has caused him to get this much of a lead on the enemies. I seriously think if you don't play a lot of Malthael, you should really try. He's a really fun hero. But this is how you counter Malthael. You need to jump in on him with a couple people. Unfortunately, 2 is not enough. He just out-heals their damage. He's low on mana, so he's simply going to back, or he should back anyways. Yeah. And he is on a Pale Horse, so he can back after doing a push like that and join his team very quickly because he has that extra movement speed. Because he has Abathur, sometimes you don't want to join your team just because you don't actually want to be forcing any team fights yet. So we're going to fast forward a little bit as he decides not to join his team. He's instead just going to push the lanes. And like, we can look at his stats throughout this game, and you can see damage-wise, he's almost the highest damage on the team. Siege-wise, he's the highest siege. Experience-wise, he's the highest experience. He's like a specialist that's soloing a lane and winning in team fights. It's incredible. So what he did was he forced Blaze down into bottom lane by pushing it, and then he forced ETC out of the objective and got the rest of the objective for his team, all while he was just doing what he was doing. He's just so powerful at dealing with so many different things at once. And watch, like, if he catches someone out of range, watch how much damage he can do to him. Blaze was at full health before this engage, and you can just see between him and Abathur, they do half of Blaze's health. They clear the wave, and what does he do when he clears the wave? He goes over and he takes a camp. And that's what you should be doing with Malthael. He can do these camps without losing any of his health because he just out heals. And you can easily push forward without needing to worry about anything. Then Malthael heads up here. The camp up there is going to be available in 50 seconds, so he knows he can clear enemy camps very easily. Look how fast he can clear this enemy camp too. So he's killing the wave and the enemy camp at the same time, and he's going to clear it before it even gets to the tower. I mean, it's just crazy. It really is just crazy. And then his camp is available in 20 seconds. But instead, he's going to pressure top lane because the enemies are going to try to go down bottom for the objective. So he's going to try to pressure top lane as much as possible. Now that the camp is pushing, he actually could go assist his team. But pressuring top forces the enemies to rotate and allows his team to get more value out of these rotations. Because Abathur can help out the team in rotations, or Abathur can help out during the objectives. So splitting up the enemies like this is very beneficial for a team with Abathur. You can see he's playing really aggressive here because he knows where the enemies are going. They're going bottom lane, and he doesn't even need to worry about it. So watching your macro, watching where everyone's going is extremely important on Malthael, because you can out-bully people so long and stay in lane so long that if you know where the enemies are, you could just be pushing a keep by yourself at 7 minutes into the game, and there's nothing the enemies can do about it just because he knows what he's doing. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Again, he's just pressuring this. The enemies were bottom, and now that the enemies are done with the objective, they're going to head up mid. And you can see how quickly he does the camp with his team, but still. And he starts pressuring bottom lane. He knows that Blaze was top. He's trying to split up the enemy team. Now that they're grouping up a little bit, they go for a kill. He uses his last rights, takes out ETC before Blaze could be anywhere near it to bunker. So gets some value off of that. Gets one quest stack. Team fights are very easy for Malthael. That's why I'm fast forwarding through them. Pretty much you just E, you do a W in, and you start queuing. And just kind of like what he did with his camp. Now when you're dealing with camps, you got to make sure to auto attack throughout each of the units. You can also position to where not all 4 of them are attacking you. But with Malthael, he doesn't really care because he can just out-heal most of it. So easily, I mean, the amount of camps he's done, the amount of macro pressure he's given to his team is incredible. People ask me sometimes, why are a lot of specialists not used in pro play? Like, you don't see Gazlos, you don't see Probiuses, you barely see Sylvanas, you barely see Asmodan. And they ask that a lot. They're like, why do people never really see specialists? And it's because specialists are so easy to counter by the heroes that are usually played. If a specialist is to push this lane all the way in, Malthael could clear it really easily, and then he can just go join his team, and he's going to be more effective in a team fight than someone like Gazlo. So you can see just the quick damage, and then joins his team, they get the objective. It's very easy. He's already forced Blaze to go top lane, so Blaze doesn't know what he should be doing. Blaze is like, should I be rotating down here, or am I going to be losing more top lane? So he's always forcing his team to do something different, and Blaze ends up going for the temple up here. Which, once Malthael sees that he's going for that temple, what does Malthael do? Malthael goes up to get him out of that temple, because he can already bully him in the solo lane, and he's going to be able to bully him here as well. And he has this if he wants to bully, but he sees that their whole team's rotating, so he backs out, goes for a camp, and back to doing what Malthael does best. Goes in for a fight. You can see he's just getting that % health damage off. He's getting it off on as many people as possible. He does a last rites to see if he could scare off what's her name. He does die here, but he still got a lot of his damage over time, and the overall, he still got a lot of value out of it. So we're going to fast forward until he's up, because this video is why the pros play Malthael, not why the pros watch Malthael be dead. And so Malthael joins the team. They decide to play aggressive right here. They want Malthael to push, and then they want to hide in case the enemies try to gank Malthael. Remember, what is Malthael's main weakness? Getting ganked. Because when people gank him from the sides, he has no escape. So the team decides to work with those weaknesses, and they hide in the flank, so that if the enemies try to flank Malthael, they can go for a kill. Team Freedom loves doing these types of things where they pick a really strong hero and then they watch for the weaknesses of that hero and they abuse the strengths of the hero while making sure that the weaknesses are not being abused. And that's the greatest part, is if we look at Malthael's stats again really quick, you can see hero damage, he's the third highest hero damage. He's the third highest siege damage, third highest hero damage, as well as the third highest experience. He's doing so much for his team that it's just crazy. Like, out of the entire game, he's the third best hero of everything in the entire game. So it's just crazy how much value he's getting. Now in these fights, he's playing really safe as they only have one tank and the tank was already caught, so he just decides to back off. He's already pushing top and bottom lane. He doesn't need to worry about anything. Now, the enemies are going for boss. So, Team Freedom makes a call. They say, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can get top keep. So, they go up top, and they get a good chunk of damage off on the keep. And then Malthael, doing % health damage, and on the Pale Horse, decides, hey, I'm just going to run my way down here, and I'm going to start melting this boss. He melts the boss for a little while. The boss does not get that much value, just 2 towers, no big deal. And he's able to join his team, clear up a camp. And it's not looking so hot for their team at the moment. But that doesn't mean that it won't be that good. Because remember, Malthael has a pretty good level 20. So we are... hold on for just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. So we're going to move on, and they're playing for this camp again. We've seen that Team Freedom has gone for this camp several times. They're playing for this camp again where they hide in an area. They let Malthael deal with the camp, and the rest of them go for a kill. They're trying to fight before level 20 to the best that they can, especially when they've already split up the enemies. Now that they're going to be distracted bot, Malthael could get this camp on the top right and kind of go from there. He decides that he kind of wants to go for this anyways, but I don't really like this call, just because the enemies are so split. One thing that they can go for, though, is because this is going to push and get a lot of value down here. If they get the bottom camp, it should lead to the bottom keep just because they're already pushing for it. But we'll see how Team Freedom decides to act around this. I think they're just going to try to soak for 20, get some camps, and get level 20. Now that they're level 20, we see that he picked up No One Can Stop Death. And again, for the reasons that I mentioned in pro games, if people die, it's usually over. So for him to be able to come back to life, he won't need that second chance, most likely. And if he does need that second chance, it would have been, no matter what ult he would have picked a level 20, would have done it. You can see in this situation, he's keeping his dot on both of these minions at the same time, while using Q to heal off of both of them. It's kind of an interesting little tactic, so he doesn't take as much damage, but I think they're watching the map and the macro play a little bit, not worrying about his healing too much. They're backing off a little bit, and I don't know why, because they could have just finished this off and gotten the middle keep. Looks like they're backing off so they can get a kill onto ETC. And they quickly get a kill. He doesn't even need to use last rites. Now after they got the kill on ETC, and top was pushed by the camp that Malthael got earlier, they are going to get this objective, which will get them both of these keeps, as well as they will be able to get this camp very quickly, because, again, Malthael, he's great at getting these camps. We're going to speed up just a little bit. We have boss that's starting. This is a risky boss just because they only have ETC dead. The rest of their team is available, as well as if clones use too early, they might lose this. So they've got to play it really, really safe. So they go for this. Clones used. They get a lot of value off. Now, when you're in this scenario as Malthael, and everyone's taking damage, and everyone's about to die on your team, what you need to do is you need to take the initiative of really jumping into the enemy team, because guess who can come back to life? You can. So you need to get really aggressive on the enemy team, get them out of this fight, scare them away, and get it to the point where you are just dominating this. So this is essentially how this is going to work. He needs to jump in and he needs to really get in there. And so he's getting them right over here. He's out healing a lot of the damage, and he gets dots on all of them. He kills one with the last rites. It was an amazing fight for them, and he's the only one who died. The clone, of course, is getting more damage off, and guess what? Guess who's back? And he gets to join his team fighting a 5v4, well, actually a 5v3 to end off the game. And that is how powerful Malthael is. This is how you utilize him in Hero League, as well as why the pros are picking him so much. He's a lane bully that works in just about every map and every team comp, and he's one of the strongest solo laners. He also is just amazing at getting camps, at getting objectives, at getting whatever you need to. So that is Malthael, and if you like Malthael, I highly recommend trying him out. He's just great right now. And if you like my videos, I highly recommend clicking that subscribe button and just check out some more, because I have a lot in this series. Thank you so much for watching.